You can get this broadcast live on our YouTube channel, on the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit, as well as on the Senate of Kenya, as well as on KBC Channel 1. My name is Gladys Mungai, and I'll be taking you through the highlights in the order of business this afternoon. The Senate is set to resume the debates on the Mental Health Amendment Bill. This is Senate Bill number 28 of 2020 by nominated Senator Sylvia Kasanga. Also lined up for debate is the Wildlife Conservation as well as Management Bill by Senator Jones Maruma. And that particular debate was interrupted on the 25th of May. Another bill set to be debated before the floor of the House is the County Allocation Revenue Bill, as well as the Community Health Services Bill by Senator Agnes Zarni. The bill by Senator Agnes Zarni seeks to have accountability of the other arms of government. This is to the Parliament of Kenya, and according to the bill, the Senator notes that it's necessary for the democratic governance be anchored on the fundamental principle that Parliament represents the will of the people and exercises its sovereignty. Reporting requirements are that the oversight mechanisms that Parliament employs to monitor, these are the actions of the executive as well as other independent offices to ensure accountability, matters transparency, responsibilities in the performance of their duties. The Investment Promotion Bill, Senate Bill number 2 of 2021 by Senator Alice Milgol, is also lined up for debate, and so is the Parliamentary Powers and the Privileges Bill by Senator Agnes Zarni. The chairperson of Standing Committee on Health will be moving a motion. The motion is on the adoption of the report of the Standing Committee. This is into the inquiry into the allegations of irregularities by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority in the procurement of pharmaceutical equipment. Similarly, the chair will be tabling the report of the committee on the COVID-19 pandemic situation in Kenya. That particular report was laid on the table of the House on the 30th of March 2021. The chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution as well as Intergovernmental Relations, will be moving a motion on the adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution in relations to the conferment of the city status for Nakuru municipality. Similarly, the chair will be tabling the report for adoption in regards to the impasse of the budgetary estimates for the financial year 2020 and 2021 for Kirinyaga County between the county executive and the county assembly. The business of the House is just about to commence, and Professor Margaret Kamar has just stepped into the chamber. I'll now hand you over for the live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing. Good afternoon.
Prayer. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I have a communication to make on visiting staff from Lamu County Assembly. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of visiting staff from Lamu County Assembly. The County Assembly staff are here on a 5-day benchmarking visit. The objective of the visit is to provide an opportunity for the officers to engage and learn from their respective counterparts in the Senate. I request that the officers stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. Senator, you can walk in past. They are as follows: Peter Courier, librarian; Athman Elema Molmolcha, senior ANSAT reporter. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I welcome both of them to the Senate and I wish them well for the remainder of their stay. I thank you. Next order. Okay, I can see there are 2 members who would like to join me. Senator Zarni, Agnes, Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to join you in welcoming the officers from Lamu County to the Senate. We're in the second phase of devolution, having started this whole journey around 2013. And there have been a lot of changes, both at the county level and indeed also at the Senate. So there's a lot to take in, even as we move with the dynamics of ensuring that devolution is well entrenched within the counties. We've had several challenges over time. We've tried to surmount them. We've tried to bring various legislation to help to ensure that counties are well run. We've encouraged the whole issue of on-source revenue, because revenue is a big issue within the counties. And we know without revenue, it's very difficult to attain the development we want to attain. So as we welcome you and as you join us this afternoon, we'll be discussing and debating the county allocation of revenue bill, probably coming up this afternoon. Very, very critical, because this is the allocation. This is the horizontal allocation of revenue to the counties. And Senate has stood with the counties to ensure that revenue is allocated to the counties, that this revenue is increased. Indeed, it has been increased this time to the tune, or by the tune of at least around 53 billion. So we are working hard as the Senate to ensure that counties thrive, but without officers in the counties also playing their role, this becomes very, very difficult. So we are hoping that during this time, when you're able to benchmark, you can see how you can enhance various aspects within Lamu County, within the coast region, because the coast region also needs to be able to benefit from devolution. So we wish you well. We are here to answer any questions, even as we meet along the corridors and interact with you, and as you listen to us this afternoon. Welcome to the Senate of Kenya. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to join you in welcoming and congratulating the officers from Lamu County. And I want to say Lamu is one of our smallest counties. It's like our baby, and we love Lamu so much. And I want to say they are welcome in this Senate. The Senate is their home, Madam Speaker, and this interaction is very healthy because the Senate is the father or the mother of devolution, and this is where we determine the resources that goes to our counties. We also do the oversight, and we want to encourage them as officials of the counties that integrity in work, transparency and accountability is what the Senate wants from them. More often than not, Madam Speaker, we encounter several challenges because of corruption in our counties. We would like to encourage our officers from our counties to be very humane in dealing and professional in dealing with the county resources. This is because you find very well that, Madam Speaker, most of the people working in our counties come from those particular local areas. And their mark of integrity and professionalism in whatever they are doing in their counties goes down as legacy, and it will be remembered. The same way, whatever wrongs they do, they'll not get out of those counties because they will have laid down their brothers and sisters and the next generation. So wherever we as the senators, we want to encourage them to support our counties, the little resources we are fighting for here. Remember Team Kenya so well, we fought seriously to save counties, especially small counties like Lamu, which were to lose a lot of money. So I want to say, whatever little we give them through the struggles and challenges we are facing as senators, they should also be able to do things that touches the lives of hustlers in those particular places and assist them in development. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Order, senators. Take your seats, senators. Senator Malala, please take your seat. Honorable senators, I have a petition to present to the Senate concerning the state of corruption, recruitment, public participation, and access to information and civic education in Kisii County. Honorable senators, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted through the clerk by Ruben Kibekwa Mageuzi, a citizen of the Republic of Kenya. As you are aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, "Every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Never shot yet.
They're not back. Oh.
Mrs. Lee!
What? My mother passed out? Which hospital?
I won't allow you to sell the car.
Go upstairs.
I won't allow you to sell the car!
I checked with the publishing house. Shimu Yuan died a few years ago. You are an imposter. Didn't only lie about your feelings for her, you also stole her money. Tell you what, if you don't return her money...
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Mimi ndiye Dr. Chua, Alwatan Chua.
Mimi ndiye Dr. Sawasawa.
Mimi ni Dr. Ashraf mwenye hii hospitali.
Ashraf si lolote.
Wewe daktari, hospitali ni yako kabisa.
I am the boss.
Okay.
That's all. Get passion.
Huyu mwanangu mimi namuona kulegea tu.
Afaa tumpatie chupa moja ya maji.
Maji asikioni.
Hii chupa moja mama kisha tufanya sahali. Lakini kama wengine tutatia lita 20.
Si majanga haya.
Get passion.
Basi.
Next passion.
Yuendesha.
Uga muzo bongo.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
If your daughter won't cooperate, then you're being useless. So you do what you have to do, but I want her to have enough nutrition and to get stronger. Is that clear?
If you had told me that you already had a partner, everything about us would have been completely different, Dad.
Believe me, I had tried. Honestly.
Look, Uncle, the sad thing is, well, your son is a criminal and he must pay for what he did. I couldn't believe he came to rob us. You know what I mean. He took advantage of our trust in you, so he deserves it.
I'm going to see a lawyer, Maya. After that terrible thing that you did,
You have said
I'm going to
enough.
sue for custody. And I won't give her to you ever again. And you're not sending her to America. You hear me?
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
We not the Congo long just like the Amazon. Split big like a cylinder, man up beat like God.
That's my word. Time for me do it now. I hope you heard, girl.
I found true love and it feels like freedom. Oh my God.
I'll give you all you want. Don't even have to ask. What will you give me in return?
Give you all my love, my love, my love, my love, my love, my love.
Executive member or the governor, you cannot get any tender. We have the 30% tenders set aside for the youth and women and people living with disability in the counties, Madam Speaker. Those tenders have been taken away by the same people who are taking up big tenders in the counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was disturbed with a case in my county whereby there was a tender which was floated for bush clearing. Each tender was costing 4 million shillings. They had tendered for 12 tenders for bush clearing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, bush clearing only requires labor and a few equipment like pangas and djembes, Madam Speaker. Such tenders should be given to the young people of this republic. Such tenders should be given to the women of this country so that we can stimulate their capacity to even do bigger tenders. Unfortunately, in Kakamega County, those tenders were given to companies which have been doing tenders worth 100 million, Madam Speaker. This is sad. I want to call upon governors of this republic. Devolution was meant to benefit the local Mwananchi on the ground. Devolution was meant to benefit and increase capacities in our counties, Madam Speaker. It is sad that such contracts, which only requires labor, are being given to people who already have capacity. It is incumbent upon this House, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we oversee the issuance of tenders in our counties. We need to ensure that the youth who have no capacity, who have no capital to do big roads, to do tarmac roads, to supply tenders worth hundreds of millions, are given opportunity, Madam Speaker, to take up tenders which do not require a lot of mechanization. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I've said on the floor of this House that this being the last financial year, we need to guide our respective county assemblies to ensure that they put money in projects that they had started initially, Madam Speaker. We have seen county governments starting projects and abandoning the projects in the middle, Madam Speaker. We need to ensure that in this financial year, we ensure that we allocate money that is going to ensure that those projects are complete, Madam Speaker. It is sad, and I've said on the floor of this House, since 2013, Madam Speaker, in Kakamega County, we do not have a single flagship project that has been completed. When you look at the Buhungu Stadium, it's not completed, Madam Speaker. When you look at the Shamahubu level 4 hospital in Shinyalu, it is not completed. The tea factory in Shinyalu constituency, Madam Speaker, nothing is happening. The milk processing farm in Malava constituency has stalled, Madam Speaker. The Mumias level 4 hospital, nothing is going on. The water project in Huisero and Butere, nothing is going on. The maize plant that was meant to benefit the people of Lugari and Lukuyani has stalled, Madam Speaker. We are only remaining with 1 year to the end of Governor Oparanya's tenure in Kakamega. I want to ask Governor Oparanya, as you do your last financial budget, make sure that those projects are complete. The people of Kakamega will ask you questions at the end of your tenure. We want, Madam Speaker, that all governors, including the Kisii governor who has been petitioned in this petition, Madam Speaker, to be accountable, Madam Speaker. That is my submission, and I will continue pressing for things that affect my people, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, I see 6 people are interested, and I will stick to the 30 minutes. Already 6 minutes are gone, so I want to encourage you to take only 4 minutes each, so that everybody gets a chance. Senator Gerard Gay Samson, 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank Mr. Mageusi for having faith and petitioning the Senate, and it starts sad affairs in Kisii County government. I think what happening here is mirrors what is already happening in various counties, Madam Speaker, and I agree that this being the last financial year, Mr. Speaker, we should not only be looking at the second-term governors, even first-term governors also, Madam Speaker, are also plundering for campaigns for their second term, Madam Speaker. 2 things, Madam Speaker. I think on the issue of procurement and the state of corruption, I think that one we need to get more information, and I hope the committee that will be referred to will be able to give us. Madam Speaker, on the issue of staff, I think it is very unfortunate and sad that even in Nandi County, we have similar situation where the Ministry of Health did reject 21 staff that was hired, that was unqualified, and it looks like counties, Madam Speaker, are basing their hiring on nepotism, on corrupt practices, of non-qualification, and it was very sad, Madam Speaker. You look even we just had a meeting on the issue of utilization of COVID funds in Nandi, and you realize that out of 4.1 million was never paid to 254 staff. And Madam Speaker, these are small-time staff like drivers, receptionists, watchmen, cleaners, and many people that work within the Nandi County government staff, Madam Speaker, and yet the money was released of 244 million, yet 4.1 million has not been paid to allowances that belong to this staff, Madam Speaker. So this issue of wage bill, the issue of staff recruitment process, I think as a Senate we must, because we are supposed to assist and much as we oversight counties, we must also come up with a way. I know there is already a law that 30% should not go beyond recurrent. You find most counties are going beyond the recurrent expenditure, Madam Speaker. The wage bill is over superseding the development expenses, Madam Speaker. And I think going into the future, the issue of staff recruitment, because you have a new governor coming in, he comes with these people, he hires new people. And I think, Madam Speaker, on that issue, we also have a similar problem in Nandi County. Madam Speaker, finally, on the issue of county economic forum, I think this is the provision of the law. Madam Speaker, 2 weeks ago, or is it 1 week ago, we did impeach the governor of Wajir over non-provision of medical and health services in that county, Madam Speaker. This is County Economic Forum is a serious issue that is provided for under the law. So I don't know why the Kisii governor, who is a second-term governor, who should have known these things, should not be meeting the County Economic Forum, Madam Speaker. And I think going into the future, I hope the committee will be able to report within 60 days so that the people of Kisii and through the petitioner, Mr. Mageuzi, can get justice for our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for that opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wambua Enokio, 4 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. I want to join my colleagues in congratulating the petitioner and hasten to add, Madam Speaker, that issues of corruption are not unique to Kisii County, that it would appear that when we devote functions to the counties, perhaps the greatest function that we devolved to the counties, Madam Speaker, is corruption. And corruption being perpetrated by county governors, almost without exception. Madam Speaker, I come from a county, Kitui, that is arguably one of the counties that is topping the charts in terms of corruption perpetrated by the county government of Kitui, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I want to address myself to 2 issues. The issue of health, and Madam Speaker, can I seek your protection from senators who are consulting in...
Senators, can you console in low tones? Honorable senators, please console in low tones so we can hear the member on the floor.
Madam Speaker, you know, unfortunately, the senator who is making, the 2 senators making the loudest consultation have just made a presentation and we listened to them. I wish they could listen to us as well. Yeah. So, Madam Speaker, I was saying I will address myself to 2 issues. The issue of health and the issue of tenders to young people. Madam Speaker, the health situation in Kitui County is in itself in the ICU. We have a supposedly level 5 hospital, Madam Speaker, that does not function, that has got nothing functioning, including even the staff. Madam Speaker, in fact, I've been thinking over this issue, and I'm thinking of approaching the Health Committee of the Senate to begin a conversation on whether it is viable to have the county government of Kitui to sign a deed of transfer on the health function. Because clearly, the governor and our officers are unable to manage the health situation in Kitui County. Madam Speaker, on the issue of tenders to young people, and I've heard my colleague here, Senator Malala, talk about tenders given to multimillionaires at the expense of young people. Madam Speaker, I have a case in my county 3 years ago. The same tender for clearance of bushes given to young people to execute, but the money is paid to contractors, and the contractors have gone away with the money. 3 years down the line, the young people who are only demanding 5,000 shillings, 6,000 shillings, they have not been paid their money. Madam Speaker, I want to stand here and say that this corruption is not just about governors who are preparing to leave office in their second term. In fact, it is a lot more pronounced among governors who are trying to accumulate wealth to run for a re-election. And I want to stand on the floor of this House, Madam Speaker, and say that as we pursue the possibility of reverting the health function in Kitui County to the national government, Madam Speaker, I want to say without blinking an eye that a time maybe has come that apart from just impeaching governors, governors should be taken to court and jailed for theft of county resources. Madam Speaker, I support the petition.
Thank you, Senator Mwaruma. Jonas Mwashushe, 4 minutes, please.
Asante Bispika kwa kunipa hii fursa ili kuchangia ili ombi ama petition ya Bwana Mageuzi. Kusema ule kweli Bispika ni kwamba ufisadi umekithiri katika magatuzi yetu. Na ningependa kukubaliana na Senator wa Kitui Bwana Wambua, mheshimiwa, aliposema ya kwamba tuligatua ufisadi. Kwamba kati ya yale mambo tuligatua, ya kubwa zaidi ilikuwa ni ufisadi. Ufisadi umekithiri katika magatuzi yetu, na nashukuru kwa sababu wananchi wameanza kuona ya kwamba ile oversight ama uangalizi si lazima ufanywe na county assembly ama mabunge ya magatuzi, lakini pia wananchi wenyewe wanaweza chukua hiyo hatua ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba uangalizi umefanyika vizuri. Bispika, kusema ule ukweli ni kwamba katika magatuzi ufisadi ndio unayochukua kipaumbele, ya kwamba zile fedha zinazoenda kusaidia wananchi basi hazifiki na kufanya yale malengo ambayo yamekusudiwa na hizo pesa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nakubaliana na wenzangu waliosema ya kwamba kuna miradi mingi ambayo imeanza katika magatuzi na haijakamilika kwa sababu ya ufisadi. Nikiangalia katika kaunti yangu ya Taita Taveta ni kwamba kuna miradi mingi ilianza. Kwa mfano, wakati wa mambo ya corona, kuna ile isolation centers zilikuwa zinajengwa, na baada ya kupata 153 million ama milioni 153 ya pesa za COVID, bado kile chumba ama ile hospitali haijaisha mpaka leo. Madam Speaker, Mheshimiwa Speaker, ningependa kusema ya kwamba ile line ya kwanza ya oversight ama unaoendelea katika magatuzi kama kwa mabunge ya magatuzi, basi waje Senate walete maombi, walete petitions, na sisi tuangalie jinsi tutakavyoendelea. Na Speaker, ningependa kusema ya kwamba na tutafuatizia vile hii petition itakavyoenda, na ndani ya siku 60 basi Bwana Mageuzi apate majibu yake ya hiyo ombi, na watu wa Kisii wapate afueni kwa hayo maswala yaliyoibuka na Bwana Mageuzi. Asante Speaker kwa hii nafasi.
Thank you. Senator Kilonzo Mutula Jr. 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support the petition and agree with a lot of the sentiments raised by the senators, that it appears as if governors are hoarding information. Governors cannot release information at county level, that members of the public, and this particular petitioner, we must credit him for being vigilant, must come to the Senate for very little information to be given. I saw the same when it came to the COVID funds in relation to Makueni, that simple questions asked by the county assemblies were not responded to until the health committee convened a sitting so many days later. And it's the same everywhere. It's the same case when the governor of Nakuru was requested to make statements about the petition on the street children who were dumped somewhere in a forest. Same cases. Madam Speaker, this petition is timely, and perhaps the committee that will hear this petition must make it very clear that the right to information and access to information under Article 35 is not a preserve of information being brought to the Senate. That information must be given to the public. In fact, at some point, Madam Speaker, we should insist that some of this information should be made public even without a request, so that the public don't have to come all the way to Nairobi to get information as ones that are being sought for in Kisii. It is a disease that is prevalent along the 47 counties, and I hope we can get a quick resolution to this, Madam Speaker. But a penalty must be prescribed. When we did the access to information law, we put a penalty for refusal to release information. I support the petition. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wetangula Moses Masika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also join colleagues who have supported the gallant citizen from Kisii who has petitioned this House. Madam Speaker, it is a very unfortunate situation all over the country that governors don't seem to understand or even appreciate the line between public property and private property, to the extent that governors run counties as if they're personal entities, even denying the public information or setting up critical organs that are part and parcel of what would make devolution succeed. Madam Speaker, I join the distinguished senators who have spoken, Senator Malala, Cherargei, Mutula Kilonzo, Wambua, in decrying the perversion of corruption going on in counties. Some cases reach this House, some don't, but what is going on out there, Madam Speaker, is disheartening to the spirit of devolution. Governors treat public finances as if they are their hard-earned monies. They use the monies to go around doing all manner of crazy things, bribing anybody who comes their way to get their way, bullying those who don't agree with them, and doing very, very strange things. And we say here over and over, Madam Speaker, that the institutions of governance in this country must be strengthened. We need to strengthen the office of the DPP, the office of the DCI, the Auditor General, and the oversight committees of assemblies to ensure that governors are brought to book. Madam Speaker, for example, in my county, just like Senator Malala has been saying, most of the contracts in the county are done by the governor's proxies. Literally, road constructions, any supplies, you'll find phony companies all over, but they're all proxies of the governor. And this is true of everywhere. You'll also find, Madam Speaker, like now, when the Assembly of Bungoma rose to ask serious questions about management of public resources, the governor, with utter impunity, has denied the release of resources to the Assembly of Bungoma to make it function. This is a criminal offense for which we are going to cite him and make sure he's brought to book. Because, Madam Speaker, the spirit of devolution that Kenyans fought for was not to enrich a few individuals or create demigods in counties. It was to benefit the ordinary citizens of Kenya. I've gone around my county, Madam Speaker. Everywhere you go, you ask, are there any groups of youths in this village that have ever benefited from a contract preserved for youths? None. You ask for women? None. And yet 30% by law of all procurements and contracts are supposed to be preserved for women and youth. These are again the same contracts that proxies are doing to enrich a few individuals, not only in my county and many other counties as well, Madam Speaker. We must, as a house, rise to the occasion and fight the nightmare of corruption that is eating away the fabric of our society. This afternoon, Madam Speaker, we are going to debate Kara. We are transferring in the next financial year 370 billion to counties. This money should not go to counties to make a few fellows comfortable at the expense of everybody else. Hospitals are not working. There's no clean water for women who run households in this country. The work that is supposed to be done in terms of helping dispossessed and disadvantaged communities is not being done. But you see a few individuals and called governors going around, like I said last time, Madam Speaker, the obscenities they show, including carrying special chairs to funerals to sit on. This is how obscene some of these governors are. And I've seen this with my own eyes. I don't know if Senator Malala is still here. In his county, I have witnessed not once, not twice, not thrice, a pickup arriving with a seat that looks like a throne for a governor to sit on in a funeral. Madam Speaker, this obscenity must be fought, and we salute this gentleman from Kisii for bringing to this Senate. Lastly, Madam Speaker, when petitions come to this House, you will direct that it be dealt with in 60 days. We rarely get feedbacks on these petitions within the stipulated time, thereby defeating the purpose for which wananchi come to this House. We must have committees that you commit petitions to work and bring the results within the time stipulated under our standing orders. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew. 4 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to join my colleagues in supporting this particular. Gerard, you're interesting. I want to say that whatever issues that have been raised here, Madam Speaker, are very true. It's not only affecting Kisii County, but all over our counties in this country. For example, when we talk about issues to do with procurement in this particular in our counties is so skewed and very unprofessional activities are taking place. If you check what is happening in all of our counties, the procurement rules are not followed by any governor. They influence the procurement officers. Sometimes even when we ask the procurement officers if they are aware of whatever they are doing, you can hear them saying we are following the direction of the boss, leading to terrible corruption, which siphon the county money to individual pockets of some people. So I want to say we must fight this particular menace seriously as the Senate, and I really support this particular petitioner from Kisii. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, that when we get across most of our counties, there are several projects that have stalled. Worst of all are those particular projects in counties which their founding governors never succeeded to go to their second term. The governors who came in completely ignored those projects, yet a lot of money had been injected into them. If you go to my county in Bomet, there is a very massive stadium which was constructed by the first governor. But up to today, when he left, that particular project, which had costed a lot of money to the county, has become a white elephant. So I want to say these particular practices, we must fight these particular corrupt individuals in our counties, Madam Speaker, that are enriching themselves through public resources. And I want also to mention something on recruitment process. Some governors are so terrible. I'd wish to tell Wetangula, Senator, that there's a governor from somewhere who has recruited 632 people in the name of public health workers. They were never interviewed. Their qualifications were not mentioned. That is your county. Their qualifications were not mentioned. They are paid through M-Pesa 2,000 every month. You cannot even tell if those people are existing or they are ghosts. These governors are terrible, and I want to say we must check. When we ask them, they say, I'm a politician as well, and I'm a... Is it over? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm still there. Whenever they are asked, they are so, they're not even ashamed. One was telling us, I'm a politician, and I've got to be popular in doing these very regular activities. So I want to say we must follow it up. The worst is coming. Most of the money we are actually dispersing from here is all consumed through litigation in courts. You find a county with almost 1.something billion going every month to pay lawyers because of irregular recruitment, creating positions that are not constitutional. And when people petition and take these cases to court, our counties are paying a lot of money on the same. So I would like to salute this particular gentleman who brought this petition and actually urge the particular committee that will take over this one to take it seriously so that justice may be restored in Kisii and all other counties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. That finishes the in-house members. Those online, we have two. Senator Musuruve, I give you 3 minutes because you came in late, and Senator Mudama's 3 minutes. Senator Musuruve. Senator Musuruve online. Okay, Senator Mudama online. Senator Mudama. Thank you. You will have a way of doing that under other business. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 2321, the petition is hereby committed to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for its consideration. In terms of Standing Order 2322, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the House. Honorable chairs of committees, it's been raised now and again that adhering to these 60 days has not been forthcoming. Please, let's stick to 60 days. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Senator Kibiru.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper of this, to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 2nd June 2021. Report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 30 of 2021. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Kibiru again. So the next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Senators, statements pursuant to Standing Order 47-1 brought by Senator for Vika have been deferred out of his personal request. So we go to statements pursuant to Standing Order 48-1. And the first statement is by the Senator for Lamu County, Senator Anwar Loitiptip. Senator Loitiptip is not here. He's not online either. So the second one is from the Senator for Murang'a County, Senator Irungu Kangata. He's not here and he's not online. Same thing affects statement number 3, the same Senator of Murang'a. The fourth one is from nominated Senator, Senator Judith Pareno. Senator Pareno is not in the House and she's not online yet. So we'll go to one special request from the Senator of Kakamega. It's a statement that was approved earlier this morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on the state of affairs at Mumias Sugar Company Limited and the reported resuscitation measures. In the statement, the committee should, 1, address in detail the current state of the company's assets and liabilities, while indicating the value of the core and non-core assets, and stating which entity undertook such valuation, if at all. Second, state the fate of the current receiver manager, while providing details on when and by whom the decision to lease out the company was made, and tabling correspondence on the said decision to the Capital Markets Authority and other regulatory bodies. 3, provide details on the procedure to be followed by government in selling its stake in the company, and address specifically the bidding process, including who the bidders were, when the bidding took place, when the evaluation of submitted tenders was done, what criteria was used to pick the successful tenderer, what were the relevant legal instruments under which the process of leasing was conducted, whether there was public participation in the process, which other companies submitted their bids for the tender, and when were they invited to bid. 4, Madam Speaker, explain the company's revival plan and provide details of the entity deemed to be qualified to take Mumias Sugar Company Limited, while providing the justification. And lastly, Madam Speaker, indicate whether the stakeholders were consulted and provide a report of such consultation, if at all, including the creditors and debtors, and clarify who will pay the pending debts owed by the company, particularly debts owed to farmers and workers. Madam Speaker, it must be very clear that we as leaders of Western region are not opposed to any investor taking over Mumias Sugar Company, because that has always been our interest, to resuscitate the sugar mill in Mumias Sugar Company. But we want accountability. We want the people of Western Region to know who is this person that is coming to take over from Mumias Sugar. We want information to flow. That is why, as the representative of the people, I have brought these questions on the floor of this house. This is the right platform for us to engage with any person who wants to take over Mumias Sugar Company. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senate, I'll give you again a few minutes. Senator Wetangula Moses Masiga, and please, the minutes are very few, so it's only 10 minutes, so I want to give you 3. So
Madam Speaker, thank you. I support the distinguished Senator for Kakamega in this statement. Madam Speaker, the Committee for Agriculture, I think is chaired by my distinguished friend from Embu, Senator Ndwiga. Madam Speaker, I brought here a statement last year listing very comprehensively the issues that we needed to know in the process of privatization or intended privatization of sugar factories. Senator Ndwiga and his committee have neither informed me of the developments to that statement nor brought any answer to this House, but I believe they will do that, although it has taken inordinately long. Madam Speaker, in addition to what Senator Malala is asking, we want to know from the committee if the Privatization Commission of Kenya has looked at the issues of Mumias and prepared a report, which report must be tabled in the Houses of Parliament for debate and approval before any steps are taken. 2, Madam Speaker, in addition to what Senator Malala is saying and asking, what is the fate of the nucleus land of Mumias? Land that belongs to the people who donated it to the government when Mumias was set up. Is this new investor coming to compensate the citizens of Mumias and Kakamega and Bungoma, who have been the beneficiaries of Mumias when it was working? 3, Madam Speaker, on the eve of the elections of 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta brought 2 billion Kenya shillings to Mumias, public resources. Who is going to account for that money in the process of handing over this factory to the intended investor? Number 4, Madam Speaker, how are the farmers, the outgrower farmers of Mumias, apart from not being consulted, how are they going to be managed and how are they going to relate with the intended investor? Number 5, is the intended investor going to pay out debts that are owed to the farmers in terms of cane delivered and cane not paid for? Number 6, the workers of Mumias, Madam Speaker, who have not received any salaries for months, and those who have retired with no benefits because statutory deductions were never paid to NSSF. Is the intended investor going to foot this bill? Above all, Madam Speaker, we want to know from the chairman of the committee, and I'm happy to Senator Ndwiga because he exhibited some rare competence when he was Minister for Cooperatives, and I believe he can carry that competence to this committee. Can he tell the country, Madam Speaker, whether the government has now abandoned the policy of dealing with sugar factories as an entity from Nzoia, Mumias, Chemilil, Muhoroni, Soni, and is now segmenting and bisecting the factories and dealing with them as individual entities, and therefore weakening the opportunity and the resolve of our collectivity in fighting for sugar farmers and beneficiaries thereto who number over 10 million in the sugar belt of this country. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Gerard Gay, Samson Zibrotich.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I want to support the statement by my brother, Senator Malala. Madam Speaker, I think early in April, over 800 workers were fired or were sent home. So these are some of the issues, because as we talk, there are 800 people who used to work with Mumias, but they were released there a few months ago. And Mr. Speaker, on the issue of, Madam Speaker, on the issue of acreage, what happens within Mumias, the investor should tell us, because we are aware that land, as Senator Wetangula said, was donated. When you pass through Mumias, and I've been a frequent visitor there a few weeks ago to Mumias, and you can see people now are farming maize, Madam Speaker, even housing and grazing their cattle. So what happens within that nucleus, Madam Speaker? And I think on the issue of bailout, the committee should tell us what happened to the 2 billion that was given to the company. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I have seen in Kisumu, where Nandi is in the nucleus of Moroni, Miwani, and Chemelil. Madam Speaker, there was an agenda of leasing, and I remember with Senator Malala, Senator Wetangula, Senator Murkomen, and Senator Wambua, we did visit during when we were visit on Kibos, and the issue of farmers was how was the leasing was being done of sugarcane nucleus without the involvement of farmers. Madam Speaker, as we speak, some of us are not opposed on development across the country. As we speak, the President of the Republic of Kenya is supposed to launch a special economic zone in a contested land between Kisumu and Nandi County, Madam Speaker. It is shocking that the Nandi County was never involved, yet the President wants to launch a special economic zone in Miwani, involving the nucleus of Miwani, Moroni, and Chemelil, Madam Speaker, and yet the land that the President is supposed to launch a special economic zone, Madam Speaker, has yet to be resolved. Secondly, Madam Speaker, these people are not telling us what happens to the leasing. Who is the investor? Just like Mumias. So we are seeing that it has been floated tender for the nucleus of Moroni, Miwani, Chemelil, Madam Speaker, which Nandi is part of the 10 million and part of the planting area of the sugarcane. They have not been involved. So we want to really know who is this that is being leasing. What happens to assets and liabilities, Madam Speaker? What happens to the land that was being donated? What happens to the land that the National Land Commission has said that it must be reviewed, it must be looked at? Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I want to support the statement on the status of Mumias Sugar Company. It's one of the critical in terms of economic development within the Western region and Mumias region, and we hope we'll get the answers, Madam Speaker, going in the future. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, the statement now stands committed to the Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and we expect the Senator to give us a response within 14 days. I see Senator Ndwiga wants to say something. 14 days good for you, Senator? Give Senator Ndwiga the microphone.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Indeed, that is quite a thorny issue, and it's an issue that my committee will look at expeditiously, and within 14 days we'll be able to give you that response. But above that, Mr. Speaker, is the feeling of the committee and my personal feeling that issues sugar, we need to have a sugar conference out that side, a sugar conference. Is the feeling of this committee that all these sugar issues, some of them are breezed through very casually by the executive and the Ministry of Agriculture. And I feel, Mr. Speaker, the committee feels that we need, and we will facilitate that sitting, that conference, a sugar conference, so that we discuss all sugar issues. And the people, members will get to know the focus of government and the new policies, and privatization policies, who is taking off. But even before we get there, we'll deal with Mumias, as asked by the Honorable Senator. Within 14 days, we'll give you that statement.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, we are now on statements. There is a point of order from Senator Wambua Enoch.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. I'm raising a point of order on the issue of statements, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is a statement that I made here on the floor of this House more than a month ago on the plight of former councillors. And Madam Speaker, the Chair for Labour undertook to deal with that issue within 14 days. Madam Speaker, what has happened now is that the councillors themselves are now approaching government directly to plead for their case. Madam Speaker, why I rise on this issue is because we miss out on an opportunity as the Senate to demonstrate duty of care for leaders, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I spoke to Senator Sakaja about this issue, I was of the impression that the best way of dealing with this matter was for the committee to visit selected regions and meet with the councillors and get a feel, a one-on-one feel on the suffering that these people, Madam Speaker, are being exposed to. Madam Speaker, to this date, I have not heard anything from the committee, and I want to plead with you, Madam Speaker, that you direct, if you will, that this committee undertakes this matter as a matter of great importance. This is not the way, Madam Speaker, we want to treat our leaders. Tomorrow, some of us will be out of leadership, and we don't want to be treated in the manner that the former councillors are being treated in this republic, Madam Speaker. It's something you can do as a Senate. It's something that we can make sure returns some benefit to those people who wasted their energy, their resources in serving Kenyans, and today they have been reduced into paupers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. I think that was a valid point of order. Honorable Senators, chairs of committees, I just want to point out our standing order 48(3)B, that within the agreed period, you are even expected to invite the minister or the senator who has asked the question. Please, let's obey our own standing orders, and when we commit ourselves to 14 days, let it be 14 days. On the same, we had finished because we had agreed with the senator. What do you want to add to that, Senator Gerarke?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think what I can say, it is there was a motion then. I remember, I think it was in 2018 or thereabout, where the senator for Laikipia, Senator Kinyua, brought the motion, and I'm the one who seconded. And it was transmitted to I think to the Ministry of Treasury, and there was some consultation with the National Assembly. So, Madam Speaker, apart from the statement by Senator Wambua on the issue of councillors' payment, and there was supposed to be regularization to give us advice. In fact, Madam Speaker, I remember the recommendation of that motion was the Minister in charge of Treasury, then Rotich, but now Ukuri Yatani, was supposed to advise Parliament on how the payments can be done for the councillors. And I agree, Madam Speaker, that these councillors should not be left at the mercy of the executive whether they need to pay or not. But I think the motion that we had, that was, if the answered can be also used in reference, was also discussed that this issue of councillors must at least be resolved once and for all. And I hope that looking at the statement, I could also invite in your direction that the committee concerned should look also at the recommendations or the resolve of that motion that was being debated on this House. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for that, so that our councillors also, all of us, Madam Speaker, in leadership, next time we might not be there, and it is important that our welfare or the welfare of former leaders should be looked into, not because we want to overburden the public in terms of its funds, but also to ensure that they have served this country and their welfare are being taken care of. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. May I therefore direct that the chair of Labour reports back to us in the next 14 days. But in that, in bringing back the report that they are supposed to have prepared, they should include what was resolved earlier so that we get this thing out of the way. I think all members have been approached by councillors wherever you come from, because this has been a very painful part of their life, and we need to really have this resolved so that they can retire peacefully like everybody else. Thank you. The next is the statements pursuant to Standing Order 51-1B. The first statement is from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, on a statement relating the activities of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51-1B to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries for the period commencing 9th February to 19th March 2021. Madam Speaker, during this period under review, the committee has held a total of 4 sittings, considered 4 bills, 1 petition, and 1 statement. The committee also held its work planning retreat between 18th and 21st February 2021. In respect of bills, the following were considered: the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2020, the draft Coconut Industry Development Bill, the draft Cotton Bill, the draft Pyrethrum Bill. On the Coffee Bill, the Senate Bill number 22 of 2020, the bill sponsored by the committee was published on 23rd October 2020 and was thereafter forwarded to the National Assembly for concurrence. The principal object of the bill is to provide for the development and regulation of the coffee industry in Kenya. The bill proposes to reorganize the coffee industry by transitioning the regulatory and commercial roles currently undertaken by the Agriculture and Food Authority to the Coffee Board of Kenya. The bill further seeks to transition the research of coffee currently undertaken by the Coffee Research Institute under the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization to the Coffee Research Institute. Noting that the bill would be due for first reading within a short time, and Madam Chair, the bill has already been read a first time. And that a similar draft coffee bill had been developed by the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. The committee, during its work planning retreats held between 18th and 21st February 2021, resolved to hold a coffee conference on 16th April 2021. The conference will create a platform for discussions on reforms in the coffee subsector, as well as discussions between the Ministry and the committee on the 2 bills, with a view to harmonizing their provisions. With regard to the draft Coconut Industry Development Bill, the committee is in the final stages of consideration of the bill. The bill shall be ready for publication by April 2021. I think it has already been published. Madam Speaker, the committee further resolved to develop the draft Cotton Bill and the draft Pyrethrum Bill, which seek to provide for the regulation, development, and promotion of the cotton and pyrethrum industries. The 2 bills are currently undergoing drafting and shall be considered by the committee in due course. Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, regarding statements pursuant to Standing Order 48-1, one statement was referred to the committee. This was a statement on the Climate Smart project in Lamu County, sought by Senator Anoa Oloitiptip, MP, on 4th March 2021. The committee awaits a response to the statement from the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries and Cooperatives. Madam Speaker, with regard to petitions, the committee considered one petition concerning the plight of seed farmers in Trans Nzoia County, which was committed to the committee on 22nd September 2020. The committee met the petitioners and Kenya Seed Company in November 2020 and awaits a response from the ministry on the petition. Upon receipt of the response, the committee shall table its report in the Senate. Madam Speaker, going forward, the committee intends to carry out the following key activities during the next quarter: consideration and publication of bills to amend the Crops Act 2013 so as to unbundle the regulation and management of major crops that fall within the ambit of the Agriculture and Food Authority and establish standalone agencies for their regulation. Thematic conferences to address challenges facing various subsectors in the agriculture sector and reforms, including the coffee conference, coconut conference, cotton conference, sugar conference, and the Parenthrum conference, and meeting with the cabinet secretary, and the sugar conference, meeting with cabinet secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives to elaborate on the policy framework that is being applied to undertake the ongoing agricultural reforms by the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is from the Chairperson, Standing Committee. Yes, Senator Wetangula.
Madam Speaker, thank you for an opportunity to make a comment on the statement by the distinguished Senator for Embu, the Chairman of Agriculture Committee. Madam Speaker, in his statement, I was listening very keenly, unless it escaped my ear. He's mentioned absolutely nothing about county government's participation in what he's doing, unless I missed it. Agriculture is a devolved function, 95% devolved. And you cannot, Madam Speaker, embark on any reforms in any sector of agriculture without involving county governments at the executive and assembly level, because they are the first frontline agencies in the management of affairs of this country in dealing with agriculture. I hope that the chairman, in moving towards this conference is talking about, and any other meetings for that matter, he takes the view, and is the correct view in my view, that being a devolved function, continuing to engage the Minister for Agriculture to the exclusion of counties and their governments is a clawback on devolution. And this we should avoid. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ndwiga, you want to respond to that?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I think I can do that from here.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, we have been working, my committee has been working very, very closely with the Council of Governors Indeed, in the development of all these bills, we sit with the Council of Governors, with the Committee of Agriculture of the Council of Governors. The report I was giving was about what we have been doing. Mr. Speaker, we have had several meetings with the Council of Governors. In fact, all these conferences I'm talking about, we are planning jointly with the Council of Governors, because it is true, indeed, agriculture is a devolved function, and we involve the Council of Governors in every step, where there is registration, anticipated registration, we involve the Council of Governors. And indeed, Madam Chair, the House may be happy to know that even where the executive, the ministry has tried to avoid the involvement of the county government, this committee has broken peace and has broken the stalemate, and we have moved forward. We have, for example, in the coffee bill that is coming to this House, the bill from the Ministry of Agriculture had totally avoided involvement of the county government. But the bill that will be laid here, Madam Speaker, the House will be happy to note that the county governments are totally and heavily involved in everything that we do. In all these crops, coffee, pyrethrum, even sugar, the county governments are properly involved, and we have done adequate consultations.
Thank you, Senator.
Madam.
Thank you. I think point taken. The chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, to make a statement relating to the activities of the committee. Senator Gachwang.
Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51(1)B to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for the period commencing 1st of June 2020 to 5th of March 2021. And Madam Speaker, it's quite a dated statement. Madam Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 30 sittings and considered various matters. Let me commence by reporting on the statements assigned to the committee. Madam Speaker, in our last statement, the committee reported that it was considering a statement sought by Senator Abshiro Alake, MP, regarding the banning of county executive offices in various counties where accounting records are held. The committee received responses from the various counties that had suffered this mischief, namely Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Busia, and Kitui counties. The office of the governors of these counties gave a detailed account of the internal investigations that they undertook, steps taken to mitigate the reoccurrence of the fire incidences, and improvement of risk management policies and processes to adequately deal with such incidences should they arise. Madam Speaker, they also informed the committee that the various cases were still being investigated by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. Having received these reports, the committee promptly forwarded them to Senator Abshiro Alake, who gave a press statement issuing a stern admonition to all counties to refrain from engaging in such destructive, dangerous, and futile activities. Madam Speaker, the matters are still before the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and we shall be following up for implementation. Madam Speaker, Senator Dr. Ochilo Ayako, EGH MP, sought a statement on the status of project funding and implementation for Rongo Township, Awendo Township, and Migori Municipality. The committee has written to the Ministry of Devolution and Arid and Semi-Arid Lands requesting for this information. The ministry has responded by forwarding this request to the county government of Migori, and we are awaiting a detailed response from Migori County before concluding this matter. Madam Speaker, in the period under review, the committee also extensively considered the transfer of functions from the Nairobi County government to the national government, specifically the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. On this issue, Madam Speaker, the committee felt the transfer exposed certain gaps in law, particularly with respect to the provisions contained in the deed of transfer, the manner in which the transfer was effected, oversight mechanisms of the transfer, the alleged duress under which the Nairobi County government was placed to effect the transfer, and the subsequent impeachment of the governor of Nairobi County and appointment of the deputy governor of Nairobi County. Taking note of the lacuna in Section 26 of the Intergovernmental Relations Act, number 2 of 2012, on agreements on transfer or delegation of powers, the committee has initiated the Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill 2021, which seeks to cure some of the issues that were exposed during the transfer of functions to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services and seeks to make comprehensive provisions on the process of transferring functions and entrenching the Senate's oversight role in the transfer of functions. Madam Speaker, this bill has already been presented for publication and will be coming for first reading in this House. Madam Speaker, the committee also considered an impasse that arose between the County Executive and County Assembly of Kirinyaga County on county budget estimates for the 2020-2021 financial year. The Executive and Assembly of Kirinyaga could not agree on the proposed allocations within their county budget, and this disagreement threatened to put county operations to a standstill. In July 2020, the committee held meetings with various stakeholders, including the governor, the county assembly, and the controller of budget, and thereafter, the committee met the assembly majority leader, the chairperson of the county budget and appropriations committee, and after that, Madam Speaker, it is noteworthy that there was an impeachment process against the governor of Kirinyaga, and the Senate resolved that the grounds raised were not adequate for impeachment. Madam Speaker, the committee has tabled its report on that budget impasse. The committee undertook or played the role of mediator in resolving the impasse between the county executive and the assembly, and was able to open an avenue for dialogue, deliberation, ventilation, and cooperation between the county executive and county assembly. Madam Speaker, the matter was concluded. The disastrous effects of Kirinyaga County not having a county budget was successfully averted, and the Kirinyaga County Appropriations Act of 2020 was passed. The report of the committee captures various important issues, but more specifically, what happens when an assembly rejects a governor's memorandum, and secondly, what will be the threshold for the county assembly to alter the budget as presented by the county executive. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, also assigned to this committee in November 2020 is a petition on the boundary dispute between Kisumu, Siaya, and Vihiga counties by the Abanyore community. Madam Speaker, the committee has held extensive hearings, especially from the petitioners and the Abanyore community, led by the chief petitioner, Mr. Nashon Ogana. We have also listened to the governors of the counties that have been named, that is Kisumu, Siaya, and Vihiga, and also the Interior Ministry. Madam Speaker, this matter is very sensitive. Parliament has been petitioned twice in the past over this issue, and the committee has received further input from the National Land Commission, and the committee is in the process of writing its report, which it shall bring back to the House in compliance with the 60 days that you ordered, Madam Speaker. In addition, the committee has fulfilled one of its core mandates that in line with the standing orders as a committee that considers all matters relating to management of county government, cities, towns, and urban areas. Madam Speaker, the committee has considered the petition from Nakuru County or to upgrade Nakuru municipality to Nakuru City. After undertaking thorough inquiries to ensure that Nakuru municipality is properly catering to the needs and welfare of its, that Nakuru municipality has fulfilled the requirements contained in the Urban Areas and Cities Act, and also following a petition that was brought to the Senate, where there was concern about the manner in which Nakuru County is catering to the needs and welfare of its street children and families, the committee has now tabled its report, and the motion has been scheduled for debate. Madam Speaker, sir, the committee has also sought to make partnerships that could enhance the oversight role of the Senate through development of a monitoring and evaluation framework and possible funding that will ultimately have the net effect of strengthening devolution. To this end, Madam Speaker, the committee has held meetings with the Devolution Donor Working Group, which is an amalgamation of representatives from all European embassies, consulates, and high commissions in Kenya. Their current focus at the moment is to offer aid to counties in the form of conditional grants. The committee held its first meeting with the group on 10th of November 2020 to deliberate on their inner workings, understand what they do and the challenges they face in offering the conditional grants, And from this meeting, the committee resolved to have more regular discussions with the Devolution Donor Working Group. Lastly, Madam Speaker, the committee held a meeting with the Council of Governors on 2nd of March 2021. There was a change of leadership, and there was a new leadership, a new chair of the COG, and new leadership of the various committees of the COG. Madam Speaker, out of many resolutions that we arrived at that meeting, we agreed that the Senate would have biannual engagements with the Council of Governors to ensure that we're on the same page when it comes to matters to do with devolution. We also agreed that the liaison committee of the Senate and the liaison committee of the Council of Governors need to meet more regularly so that the various committee chairs are able to share experiences. We also agreed that the Senate and the Council of Governors would ensure that there'll be candid and robust discussions pre-budget to ensure that DORA and CARA reflect the wishes and aspirations of the county governments. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, the committee will be focused on a few specific activities, and I will just maybe mention one or two. The committee is still following up the matter of transfer of assets and liabilities of defunct local authorities, a matter that had been assigned to the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, but is yet to be concluded. The committee is also looking at the matter of disbursement and oversight of conditional grants, and a task that it will do closely with the Finance Committee. And Madam Speaker, we take note that there has been some improvement with a separate bill that has been generated for conditional grants. We are also looking at policy and legislation to strengthen regional blocks and the implementation of the capacity assessment and rationalization of the public service, or otherwise referred to as CAPS. Madam Speaker, we are also working on the devolution conference, which will be held later in the month of August in the county of Makueni. Madam Speaker, that is the report of the committee for the period. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is from the chairperson, Standing Committee on Energy. A statement relating to the activities of the committee. Chair of Energy. Chair of Energy. Senator for Nyeri is not in, and he doesn't seem to be online, so we defer that. Next order. Honorable Senators, order number 8 is a division at the division stage, so we'll defer that for convenience of the House. Next order.
Order number 9, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 30 of 2020, second reading, resumption of debate.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. The bill had been proposed, seconded, and the first member to contribute is Senator Zarni Agnes Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill 2020. And let me start by congratulating Senator Mwaruma for bringing this amendment. He's been extremely passionate about matters of conservation and wildlife issues and management, which are critical not only in his county, but across the board, Madam Speaker, not only in Taita Taveta, but we've had the same issues arising in Kajiado. We've had very many members coming forth with issues about their cattle, their herds being affected, being attacked by lions, and sometimes people fight back and then the lions are killed, and then this becomes a big issue about compensation, the issue of human beings and wildlife conservation and its coexistence, Madam Speaker, has proven to be a thorn over time. That is quite difficult to...
There is a point of order from Senator Murkomen, September.
The Speaker, did you realize, Madam Zungumzishi, Senator Zarni, while she was making a very important contribution, Madam Speaker, and I can see she has a very nice dress, she was also doing something else, Madam Speaker, removing her clothes in the Senate, in the full glare of the cameras, Madam Speaker. Is that in order?
Honorable, if Jemma Murkomen, unfortunately, you didn't show us when it was happening, so we didn't get that one.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker did not see, so. But this chamber sometimes tends to be a little bit hot, and in this area where I sit, it's quite cold. But when I stand up to contribute, then the passion of these issues makes it mandatory, that you're speaking from your heart. Because these issues not only include Kwale County, we have other counties, for example, as I've mentioned, Kajiado, other counties, Samburu. Indeed, Madam Speaker, we've had so many petitions, we've had so many statements regarding this issue. Now, I remember in the Committee of Tourism and Industrialization, some time back, I think when we had Minister Balala there, this issue came up, and I remember some of the senators from these regions were able to come there and have this discussion. And at that time, what became very, very clear is that some of these solutions are well known. For example, the issue of ensuring electric fences are put in place so that, for example, wildlife don't cross in certain regions. The issue of compensation also came up, Madam Speaker. And I remember at that time, the assertion that was made is that it's very, very difficult to pay some of these monies at the right moment and on time because of constraints, financial constraints. But Madam Speaker, I think over time, because the issue has come up over and over again, it's become fundamental and very critical that we entrench some statutory requirements and enforcements to make this possible. The issue of the timing of the compensation is very, very critical. And Madam Speaker, most of the time the compensation is open-ended. You find that if a certain allocation has been put into place, and there are specific allocations that are also stipulated in this particular bill, for example, in the case of death, 5 million shillings. In the case of injury or disability, 3 million shillings. In the case of any other injuries, a maximum of 2 million shillings, etc. When it comes to the actual giving of this money, and Madam Speaker, in these cases, we're talking about somebody who has lost their life because maybe they've been trampled on by an elephant. We're talking about a child who might be injured because they've been attacked by a lion. And if that compensation takes a long time, Madam Speaker, then it becomes a case of when justice is delayed, it seems to be denied. So I think because of this specific issue of finances not coming on time, this bill tries to ensure that certain statutory requirements are put into place. For example, a timeline is given when this compensation must be done. The committees at the county level are empowered to be able to address various issues that are very, very key and very, very important. So, Madam Speaker, this particular bill actually seeks to amend the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act number 47 of 2013. And there is one very, very important organ that is already at the committee level, and this is the County Wildlife Conservation and Compensation Committees that are already in place, but they haven't been able to really be able to do their work appropriately because of the various constraints, Madam Speaker, that I have already mentioned. So this bill, one, tries to ensure that at the end of the day, in each financial year, provision is made of adequate funds for the management of the affairs of each community wildlife conservation. And this is very, very specific when we look at exactly what that provision entails. It entails empowering the county, the cabinet secretary, upon the advice and in consultation with the Commission on Revenue Allocation, formulating guidelines regarding incentives and benefit sharing. Madam Speaker, I think this is where the problem has been. These guidelines are not very, very clear. The figures, the amounts that need to be paid are not very clear at specific times. And then the Cabinet Secretary also is empowered to publish in the Gazette within 21 days the formulation of rules and regulations to govern the regime on incentives and benefits. Madam Speaker, despite various legislation that we've tried to introduce in this House in terms of incentives and benefits, when it comes to the implementation, and later on, an amendment bill will be moved by myself that tries to ensure that legislation and any sort of motion that has passed can actually be implemented. Because these benefits and incentives are good on paper, but when they are not implemented, Madam Speaker, then it makes it very, very difficult for people to be able to feel that this justice has been done to them. So these guidelines and benefits will ensure that, for example, in various cases, as a provision that is made, that a minimum of 5% of the benefits from national parks will be allocated to communities, local communities, and neighboring parks. So generally, what this bill tries to do is to take a provision that is already in the Act, and this is the 2013 Act. The Act specifically is the number 47 Act of 2013, in which specifically these specific guidelines have been given, but because these haven't been entrenched, what Senator Mwaruma proposes to do in this bill is to ensure that the Cabinet Secretary shall, as the case may be, in each financial year, provide adequate funds. And Madam Speaker, this is very, very key. This responsibility is given to the Cabinet Secretary to ensure that these funds are put into place. I think in the other legislation that has been there, it's been very generalized, but this bill seeks to give specific responsibility. In fact, in other amendments that are made in this bill, Madam Speaker, there's an amendment to change the word government to Cabinet Secretary, because in most of the writing of the Act, the reference is to government. And I think in Senator Mwaruma's assertion and analysis, this is very general. And by changing it from government to Cabinet Secretary, a specific responsibility is given. And this is done at the introduction of 21A, which gives these sort of powers to the Cabinet Secretary, and later on page 812 of this bill, especially at clause 76, the specific provisions and regulations for doing this are put into place. Madam Speaker, again at 21A, very, very key, the issue of ensuring that compensation required to be paid under this Act is undertaken within 12 months. Of a determination by the respective Community Wildlife Committee. And at page 118 of this document, at 25, the specific provisions of doing this have been put into place. That one, this Community Wildlife Conservation Committee will cease of the plea or of the request that is being made to it for them to particularly address a particular compensation that has to be put into place. Then after they have come up, or after they have realized that this particular claim has been launched, then the County Wildlife Conservation Compensation Committee, which is established already, we will, upon verification, submit the claim to the Cabinet Secretary together with its recommendations thereof. And then the various recommendations thereof are given, and I mentioned these earlier, in terms of compensation if it is an injury from wildlife. But if that compensation is towards, for example, damage of crops, livestock, and other property, then also consideration will be made, and then some sort of compensation will be given and put into place. This is very, very critical, and I think what this is bringing in is the element of the time frame. At least, and here we have to also be very clear that within 12 months does not mean at 12 months. So the sooner the better, I think, is the mantra of this bill. So if it can be 1 month just after the injury, so much the better. But at least within 12 months, this should have already been provided for. Then at clause 3, which is very, very critical, a new paragraph is added which provides support to the local communities negatively affected by activities undertaken with respect to wildlife conservation management. Madam Speaker, most of the time we don't have in legislation a mechanism to ensure retribution or rehabilitation is the right word, rehabilitation of a particular circumstance that was there. So for example, apart from just paying for crops that have been damaged, it is important to ensure that the land, for example, if for whatever reason a volcano has taken place or now is no longer in use because wildlife ran right through it, maybe the crops have really been affected as a result, it means that one way or another, activities must be undertaken to try to reclaim, rehabilitate, and put back, so to speak, a reset of the circumstances that were already there. At clause 4, the issue of government versus cabinet secretary is clarified. This is trying to ensure that direct responsibility is put on the cabinet secretary. And in this particular clause and in its amendment, monies annually allocated for this purpose by the National Assembly need to be appropriately distributed by the Cabinet Secretary, and therefore, at the end of the day, it's possible for this money to be used at the right time. Madam Speaker, in clause 5, the whole amendment has to do specifically, we're looking at the various places and the various issues, including the issues of time, including the issues of within 12 months, but those particular amendments are now specifically put at the various subsections in the particular act. So clause 5 is about mainly deleting this sentence and putting in place another set, or substituting thereof with another statement. Madam Speaker, the whole issue of compensation has been a big issue, not only just about compensation, even when it comes to benefit sharing. What should communities do, for example, when their natural resources have been exploited, and how can they be paid for it? What should happen? What sort of percentages should be there? And Madam Speaker, various acts put various provisions, for example, like the Mining Act, gives specific provisions to the community. The natural resources benefit sharing had various specific proposals. In this particular amendment, Senator Mwaruma focuses on 5% that has to be given to local communities. And at clause 6, in terms of amendment, the Cabinet Secretary shall, in formulating guidelines, ensure that the guidelines comply with the condition that a minimum of 5% of the benefits from national parks and national services or reserves shall be allocated to local communities. Masai Mara have had a very good model of doing this, because there is a way in which, when communities know that their resources are going to be helpful for them, it makes them be able to persevere. If, for example, we have tourists who are coming to look at this wildlife, they're coming to look at these lions, for example, at Mara, communities feel encouraged to ensure that, yes, they can be able, up to a certain extent, withstand any sort of issues that come. But this compensation, when it comes, is very key. This compensation allows communities to take their children to school. This compensation allows communities to look for water and food. This compensation allows people to be able to proceed with their livelihoods, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it is very, very critical. And I know, for example, in the case of the Masai Mara, and many of these conflicts have happened at the Masai Mara, they've been able, through time, to develop even scholarships to the young people within those communities. Because that way, you move into addressing the wildlife-human conflict, for example, of what to do when it is a lion that is attacked. If the communities really want to understand and want to withhold that this animal is attacked, but we need this animal, then they find ways and means of dealing with it. But if they don't see this very delicate interconnection between coexistence between humans and wildlife, then it's very easy for it to become acrimonious. Madam Speaker, for the longest time, every time Senator Maruma has brought a statement to this House, it is a statement talking about communities that are crying as a result of this sort of infringement on livelihoods because of the coexistence between human beings and wildlife. He tries at the third schedule to expand the specific jurisdiction in terms of compensation and includes a very important element of snakes, of other animals, of other species that haven't been addressed in the previous legislation, because he finds very critical, and also on crops, livestock, and property management from elephants, lions, crocodiles, buffaloes, and snakes, and wild dogs. He tries to actually expand this jurisdiction, and I can see why. Probably, especially in the case of Taita Taveta, some of these have been left out, snakes have been left out, and these can cause quite a bit of harm at the level of the community. So this, I think, is very, very critical for him to be able to do that. Madam Speaker, it's a very short amendment bill with clear, specific deliverables that are found in each of the various amendments. At the end of the day, what is also very, very key, and in 6B, the determination of the minimum percentage of the benefits of the allocation to the communities under subsection shall be based on the gross total revenue and fees collected within the respect of the protected areas. The issue of gross total revenue and fees collected is now then being highlighted. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, the regime for actually being able to identify what has been collected at the counties, how it should be apportioned, where the key pot, where it should all go to, and how it should be distributed is very, very tricky. It is not mentioned in this bill, but I think even as it goes to the committee, some of the issues to think about are when we're thinking about issues of on-source revenue, for example, and where that money goes to, and how can that money be further distributed. So I find in most legislation, when we're talking about this sort of benefits and how they should be appropriated, most of the time we talk about a percentage that should go out, but how should this percentage be handled? Is it going to be collected nationally and then redistributed? Is it going to be collected at the county level and then it comes and to the national for redistribution? Or is there a way, because this is a specific area that I think Senator Waruma is trying to say, that these resources and these revenues that are collected, if a certain percentage can be left to be used at source, because already the Mother Act, the Key Act, the Principal Act, already puts into place in each of the counties the Community Wildlife Conservation Committee. Madam Speaker, my time is up. I support, and I hope that through this bill, we'll be able to address the issue of human life and wildlife conflict and be able to deal with some of the resolutions that have been put in this amendment. I thank you.
Senator Wetangula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a very progressive bill with certain issues that at committee stage, Senator Mwaruma should take into account and bring to the House. Madam Speaker, wildlife-human conflicts have been increasing every year. You may recall in the last Senate, our late colleague, may he rest in peace, Senator for Laikipia, Senator Gigi Kariuki, was constantly talking about compensation for persons maimed or killed by wildlife. Some were, in fact, all families were rendered destitute by wildlife destruction of not only their crops, but even their possessions like houses. I remember once, Madam Speaker, I visited a friend in Loitoktok, and when I went to his home, it looked like a war zone. And I asked him what had happened. He said elephants passed here. And they had destroyed everything, pulled down his house, destroyed his entire banana plantation and the crops that were there. And then what followed was now a wild goose chase for compensation. People get injured at ages of 30, 35, and live to die at 60, 70 without being compensated. And that's why this bill is so important, Madam Speaker, that it's creating a time constraint for the compensation committees at the county level, national level, to ensure that people get compensated when they suffer from attacks from wildlife. Madam Speaker, when you look at the management of our national parks and game reserves, I think it's also important that we voice our concern in the manner in which the wardens who manage these parks also fail to control the movement of wildlife. We know the wildlife is there, we know some of the animals are dangerous, and we know they can move out of the parks. Consequently, Madam Speaker, we have a duty as government to make sure that unless it's under very extraneous circumstances, animals are confined in the parks and reserves so that they don't go out to attack people. Equally important, Madam Speaker, is situations where human beings also stray into the habitats of animals and then get those problems. Now, Madam Speaker, looking through this bill, I see one big omission by Senator Mwaruma, that he's set out very well the compensation process and the committees that deal with compensation, the County Wildlife Conservation and Compensation Committees. But he says nothing about the attempt by the Act is amending in ousting the jurisdiction of courts. Madam Speaker, under our Constitution, any person has the right to seek justice in courts of law. And in many cases, Madam Speaker, you'll find that these compensations set by these committees are so meager that they cannot adequately compensate families that have lost loved ones, or cannot adequately compensate families that have lost their property. In which case, an aggrieved person must be given the right and opportunity to elect to take the avenue of an ADR, which is created here, alternative dispute resolution, by not going to court and receiving what is offered. Because it's not a case, you don't go there to argue a case. They sit, assess, and tell you you are entitled to 10,000 for your broken legs. But if you are then not satisfied with the decisions of these committees, you reserve your right to go to court and fight. That I was working at Amjengo where my tools of work depended on my able body, my hands, my legs functioning. An elephant has destroyed me. And there's no way 10,000 compensation for my destruction can compensate the loss I've suffered to feed my family, to vend for those who depend on me. So you go to court, and the court will now assess your lost earnings. And lawyers like my distinguished colleagues Mutula and Cherage will tell you. Then the court will assess you, and yourself, Madam Speaker. The court will assess your lost income, multiply to the level of where you would have retired under ordinary circumstances, and compensate you. This is lost in this bill. And I would want to urge, Madam Speaker, the committee or the proposer and sponsor of the bill to bring back a provision that allows affected persons to go to seek justice in our courts of law. Madam Speaker, also the issue of insurance of our wildlife and game parks. Now that a bill like this, Madam Speaker, is expanding the levels of compensation to cover, I'm amused to see that Senator Maruma wants a compensation from attacks by wild pigs. Wild pigs, if they're the ones we know, Madam Speaker, when they say human being, they run as fast as they can away from the human being. I don't know where the wild pigs attack people, but he's put it here. Maybe it has happened in Taita Taveta from his experience. But when you look at now this wide net of animals that are dangerous, attack people, and require compensation, including poisonous snakes, dangerous snakes. I don't know the difference between poisonous snakes and dangerous snakes. I think I think they should be the same. Sharks, stonefish, whales, stingrays, wild pigs, buffaloes, and all the other animals that are already in the Mother Act. Madam Speaker, this then calls for almost compulsory insurance by the game parks, because the levy that we are talking about of 5% cannot adequately compensate people. Motola Kilonzo Jr., my colleague from Makueni, is telling me that in his area, out of every 5 deaths, 2 are from snake bites. And how are you going to compensate people from such a meager resource that is available for this purpose? So we need insurance, so that insurance and reinsurance can then take and foot the bills of compensation when we have this kind of situations. And I think Senator Maruma will be guided to propose that insurance, in fact, be mandatory for all these game parks, game reserves, conservancies, and so on. We have seen cases, Madam Speaker, you remember the case 3 years ago, where a Japanese tourist in Naivasha was excitedly taking pictures of a hippo. And the hippo sprang from water and sliced her into pieces, killing her instantly. That kind of tourist compensation is heavy. And you cannot expect that, in fact, the 5% levy that we're talking about will not be adequate to compensate one such tourist if they come from those big families with massive wealth that we know of, because insurance is a very complex process. Madam Speaker, as I support the bill, I want to say 1 or 2 things that concerns also wildlife and the management of our game parks. I saw a very curious statement from the Minister for Tourism, Madam Speaker, that he intends to privatize our game parks. On whose authority? And who has protested the current structure of ownership of our game parks, Madam Speaker? And who does he want to privatize them to? Has he carried out public participation? Has he sought views from Kenyans from all walks of life? We have Masai Mara National Reserve or Game Reserve that has done very well. We have game parks and game reserves that are domiciled in counties. If the Ministry of Tourism of the national government is unable or is tired of running these game parks, pass them on to county governments. You can't, Madam Speaker, just wake up and say we are going to privatize our game parks. Privatize them to who? And this is the charade we keep on having in this country, Madam Speaker, of privatization of public assets that end up being freely given to private individuals. And when you lift the veil, as lawyers would say, you'll find that perhaps the person who is talking of privatizing has himself a vested interest and is going to end up owning our very choice assets in the country. If Amboseli is a burden to the national government, pass it to Narok, to Kajiado, sorry. If Savo is a burden to the national government, give it to Taita Taveta. If Kitui South National Park, or is it, what is it called, Mutula? There's one in Kitui bordering Tana River. Pass them on to the county governments to run them. Meru National Park, same thing. Kora, same thing. The one in Samburu and in Laikipia Conservancies and the open fields where people go and enjoy. If you can't man them, give them the county governments. But we can't just, Madam Speaker, be excited about this idea of privatization when we know that what we privatize is already not working. Mumias was doing very well when the government was owning Mumias and running Mumias. Look at the sorry state of Mumias after privatization. It is gone to the dogs. And many others, we can cite all of them, Madam Speaker. So I want to caution my good friend, Minister Balala, that he should not embark on a misadventure that will lead him into difficulties, because we will not, as a House of Parliament that protects counties and their governments, in which these public assets are domiciled, we will not allow him to embark on an adventure that is going to disenfranchise the people where these facilities are located. If anything, Madam Speaker, he should be bringing up policies on revenue sharing. Kajiado has been crying for a share of Amboseli. Taita Taveta has been crying for a share of the proceeds from Savo. In fact, when you go to Taita Taveta, they tell you, Madam Speaker, that the only available space for the locals in Taita Taveta is about less than 1/3 of the county, and is on the hills. The rest is either Savo East, Savo West, or some big ranches, or some big plantations, and the people, you find people squeezed in small places, in small markets. Instead of growing as towns, they're growing as slums because there's no space. So if the government wants to give away our public assets, bring that to Parliament, this House will debate, this House will arbitrate, and this House will advise that pass those assets to the locals so that they can benefit from them. Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sherargei Samson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to support this amendment. Of course, as my colleagues have indicated, that in the future, when it comes to committee stage, we will be able to give some ideas here and there. Madam Speaker, I think all of us appreciate the role that the tourism and the uniqueness of especially the Big Five that has been recognized world over, that is only found in Kenya. Madam Speaker, it doesn't go without notice that one of the top foreign exchange earner to this republic in terms of revenue is through, Madam Speaker, the wildlife and tourism sector. And I know the sector has been adversely affected, especially with the COVID pandemic that has really affected. And I know many in the hospitality sector which forms part of the larger tourism and wildlife. Most of them, according to 2020, I think, July of Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Madam Speaker, at least 1.7 million Kenyans have lost their jobs because of COVID pandemic. And therefore, I know a huge chunk comes from the sector which relies heavily of tourism, both where wildlife is domiciled. Madam Speaker, I want to support by saying that as a country, we pride ourselves as uniqueness and diverse of the fauna and flora of this republic. Madam Speaker, and I think also with the growth of Kenyans that is approaching 47.5 million plus, according to 2019 National Housing and Population Census, is that as population grows, as cities grows, Madam Speaker, it also becomes uniquely challenging because of the population growing. The human-wildlife conflict is the order of the day. Madam Speaker, Nairobi is one of the few cities in the world that it's as national park within its metropolis, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I think it is well put by the Senator Mwaruma, and I want to appreciate that this is very unique. And I want to say, even in Nandi, we also have wildlife, and of course there is a wildlife called mashback. It's called Sitatunga that is available within the marsh areas of Kingwal, and of course Nandi having 3 forests that we have within Nandi. Also we have snakes and also the one Sitatunga among other wild animals in that region. And I think I agree with Senator Mwaruma that it was timely that we should have this. Madam Speaker, the only issue I want to agree is this issue of 12 months. I think what should be happening when the process, and my senior colleague has argued on this, is that we need to reduce the timeline of assessment or the matter. If it is not even appeal, I don't think it should go beyond 12 months. My own opinion, we should make it as soon as possible, 6 months, so that the dependents and beneficiaries, you can imagine the horrific experience they will have to undergo through for the 12 months. So, Madam Speaker, I think we agree that the legal process or judicial process is cumbersome and litigious, but we should find a way, because it is based on assessment, that if there is post-mortem results, assessment and investigations that have been done by the Kenya Forest Service and other agencies, Madam Speaker, I think the payment should be prompt. Especially, you can find if it was a breadwinner, Madam Speaker, and therefore, if the breadwinner, and you can imagine if the beneficiaries have to stay out of school or to stay out of food for that long, or any other basic needs, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the second point that I wanted to comment is on the local community support. I think I agree on this issue of local content, Madam Speaker. This issue of natural resources has been a thorny issue, not only in wildlife sector, but even the oil. You remember the issue of Turkana, Madam Speaker, where the community had to go to the streets, had to demonstrate. And I want to appeal to the formulators of policy that in the issue of resource sharing and the local content, this one of supporting the local communities, Madam Speaker, if you give the necessary support the local communities like the hospitals, social amenities, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, you will not need to put an electric fence around those national parks or wild game parks. If the communities know the value of having that animal there, Madam Speaker, by ensuring that we give them the necessary support. And I remember the Turkana issue of Tulo oil, the people had to go to streets so that the justice can be given. Even on the issue of minerals, even in the coastal region, Madam Speaker, I wish the Ministry of Wildlife should concentrate, and I want to ask CS Balala, I know he's busy, he's banning importation of rare animals and exportation of animals and what have you, privatization, but I think he should just concentrate on basics first. We need basics. If we can work and ensure that the local community committees function, and these people are given necessary support, like water, Madam Speaker, like social amenities have indicated. Let us start from the basics. Let us not worry about whether this species has been imported or exported, whether privatization is not. Let us just allow the people to own the animals that belong to them, Madam Speaker. And it is so important for the development of this country, Madam Speaker. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I want to go to the issue of the Wildlife Endowment Fund. I think it is timely. And I'm happy that most of the issues have been captured But of course, we agree that wildlife security operations, we agree that poaching issues has been a problem in this country, where the wild game has been killed for export. They are being told they are used for medicinal value or cultural values and what have you, and exported. I think I agree that we need to be very careful, especially on the poaching, because some of the animals that we have in this country, Madam Speaker, are so rare that we need to see, like the issue of white rhino or white elephant, where it was so unique. We should also, I think my proposal is we should also have a lab. I think Senator Maruma, you can include, so that we can even procreate some of the rare species. You can imagine if we have, for example, an elephant that is rare, or the one I saw in Otistan, the giraffe, that is an albino. I hope I'm using the correct word. We can get those rare species. We can get a specific, even in partnership with KEMRI, Kenya Medical Research Institute, the ISIPE International Center for Other Control, Madam Speaker. I think in the additional functions of Endowment Fund, let us have a way of procreating and protecting specific species being provided under Endowment Fund. They can just partner with KEMRI. We have Kenya Forest Service. They can also partner with other agencies to ensure we don't only lose these species, and also we ensure, you know, Madam Speaker, with the expansion of pollution, environmental degradation, soil erosion, there is a way we need to protect some of these ecosystems by having a proper laboratory where we keep some of these species and ensure even some of the seeds that belong to specific ecosystem. But I agree, Madam Speaker, that this is Madam Speaker, the second point I wanted to make is that we have seen that people, and you remember there was a UA cry where in Masai Mara an private investor was allowed to develop an hotel on the path of the movement of the wild beast during the I think it was called the Wonder, the 7th wonder of the world. And I think, Madam Speaker, we should also agree, if somebody is supposed to develop within the wild park or the national park, there should be proper regulations, Madam Speaker. We can't just be building resorts and hotels within the park without fear of interfering with the ecosystem and the flora and the fauna of that specific place, Madam Speaker. And I think the Ministry of Wildlife, the Ministry of Tourism must come and tell us, must be able to tell us these resorts. And of course, it says this without prejudice, Madam Speaker, because I know there could be colleagues who have hotels and resorts within the wild game parks. But the point should be made that even if the approval, let us look at interference of the ecosystem of that particular animal. The third point, Madam Speaker, I wanted to comment is on the wildlife compensation scheme. I think I have indicated there that in the wildlife compensation scheme, Madam Speaker, is that we need to be efficient, we need to be prompt, and I think there should be a way. I don't know how, Senator Maruma, you can develop on this. We have a reporting mechanism. I don't know how you will amend so that we have reporting mechanism, Madam Speaker, so that we are told how many people died, for example, in Makueni because of snake bites. How many was it paid out? So we should have a reporting mechanisms. Should it be devolved to county assemblies? Should it be ensured that we go into the future with that, Madam Speaker? That is what I want to appeal. And then there is a cross-total, and also we should be able to tell, for example, Masai Mara. For example, I can see the kingpin of the Ma. Senator Ledama is in the house. The issue of collections, Madam Speaker, we need to be told. By the way, I've sat briefly in Sipike, and the county government of Narok could not even explain how much are they collecting from Masai Mara. So we need to have a reporting mechanism. How much has been compensated? How many Kenyans were killed by the wild animals? I don't know how Senator Maruma can come up on reporting mechanism going into the future, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the final point I wanted to make is on the issue of the compensation. Madam Speaker, I've seen somewhere that my colleague is promoting compensation for personal injury or death or damage to property. I would wish that in the case of 5 million shillings, it should be the minimum. I wouldn't want us to put the figure to maximum of maybe, so that the courts have the discretion, Madam Speaker, during the assessment. Because every case by case basis, so that we don't say it is 5 million. Let us maybe during the committee of the whole, and we can amend and say 5 million and maybe add something as the courts or the judicial mechanism deals with, so that the courts are not restricted to 5 million, because you never know the extent of the damage or what happened or what the negligence of the. So I think that one, Madam Speaker, on the issue of course, I agree the issue of permanent disability. I think 2-3 million is a little bit too low. I think it should be left to the case by case, but you can just say minimum of 5 million and allow the courts to have that, and then also the injury. Madam Speaker, I would have expected to see something about psycho support, where we have counseling. You can imagine you only compensate that person 3 million. Madam Speaker, my proposal would be, even if we pay, we must provide something like trauma centers, something to provide counseling. You can imagine the horrific that you have encountered, the dangerous or the poisonous snake. You can imagine after recovering, you will have hallucinations, you will have nightmares. So, Madam Speaker, I think we should have a way of coming up with the trauma centers to provide people with counseling, to provide with, even now that these people are incapacitated, Madam Speaker, apart from paying them compensation, the Ministry of Tourism must provide, so that if this person was not using, for example, crutches, they can be taught. Others may have turned blind, they can be taught how to use Braille, Madam Speaker. Others maybe don't know how to you know, Madam Speaker, when you're injured and you become disabled or because of injury, Madam Speaker, we should find a way of taking you to train you on how to use to write. Even maybe you have lost your hands, they can teach you how to write using your legs and many other. And I think, Madam Speaker, I agree with the compensation, but we must provide for the support through trauma centers, for counseling, for ensuring that we ensure that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue, I am not sure on this clause 25(5) that you negligence on the fail to take reasonable measures to. Madam Speaker, I am a neighbor of Masai Mara, for example, and I can't afford constructing an electric fence, and the elephants walk into my farm. There is a suggestion that if you are not, you are not, and I don't know, we need to reward this with the amendee of the amendment, Senator Maruma, so that we don't leave the burden of proof too much to our people. Because you can imagine, I'm a neighbor of Masai Mara, I don't have money to construct an electric fence, the elephants walk out, they trample everything. So I think, Madam Speaker, the burden of responsibility should be put on both, on the ministry and on the individuals, Madam Speaker. I think on the issue of compensation, I think I want to agree that let us also, on the issue of community, I can see that we need to move from 5% to at least 10%, because 10% is a good number. Even in the Mining Act, there is 10, 20, 70 that has been allocated. So let us use 10%, so that communities, Madam Speaker, that go. Madam Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that this is a timely amendment. We look forward, Madam Speaker, to having this thing passed, and I hope going into the future, we should be discussing real issues. And I think as a Senate, Madam Speaker, I want to say this, that we should start discussing real issues. I've seen some of my colleagues want to do IPPG on BBI, but they should allow the courts to do the process. Let us concentrate on real issues that affect Kenyans. If you compensate somebody in Makueni, it means a lot. If you compensate somebody in Taita, it means a lot, as opposed as to chasing the wind that is irrelevancies to this. Madam Speaker, I thank you and I support the amendment and look forward to introducing a few amendments in consultation with the Senator Maruma, and commend Maruma for this brilliant amendment and hope to see into fruition. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kilonzo Mutula Jr.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. One, we share a border with Taita, so the problems we have are theirs. The elephants that are moving around aimlessly and freely from Savo, east and west, are affecting our people similarly, Madam Speaker. The problems that the people of Taita are facing are not any different. But unfortunately, the people of Taita Taveta have possibly the best tented camps, lodges, where tourists are spending a lot of money. And yet it becomes very difficult, Madam Speaker, for them to get compensated. Madam Speaker, allow me to highlight the principle. Kenya is making I have a letter from the CS that suggests that the parks are giving 9% to the GDP, contributing up to 9%. My own impression is that it could be more, but even 9% is enough. Now, these animals are living amongst people, but it becomes so difficult, extremely difficult, and I wanted Senator Cherargei to hear this. It becomes extremely difficult to compensate people when they're injured by wildlife. There was a petition in 2014 on the collections by Masai Mara that came to the Finance Committee. Masai Mara is collecting money in the tunes of billions in dollars, which money forms part and parcel of their own source revenue. Senator Wetangula is right. Instead of Najib Balala, and I still wonder, it's only the president who understands Balala. I don't understand the fellow. I don't understand this fellow at all. When 10 rhinos died in Savo, he said he's only responsible to the president. In other jurisdictions, he should have been fired on the spot. When a person suggests that you privatize a park, what is this fellow talking about? Does he live in this country? These parks are in counties. If you were to ask Taita Taveta County what they should do with Savo, that park should go to the Savo or to Taita Taveta County, so that they collect the money that he doesn't want to collect. Or Masai Mara, or Isiolo, or Samburu, or Marsabit, where we have beautiful parks. But we know why he wants to privatize parks, because he's holding brief for people who he wants the land to go to. It's not an innocent remark. It's a remark made on behalf of the bourgeoisies who want titles for our parks so that they own our national assets. We will not allow you. Shame on you. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, in Tanzania, 60% of the revenue, and that is the reason, Senator Maruma, our colleagues are saying 5% is too low. In Tanzania, 60% of the revenue collected to parks goes back to the community, to either build hospitals, to build schools and fences around their parks, and provide water. And that's why, and with a lot of tremendous respect to Senator Ledama here, the Maasais on the other side of the Tanzania are doing very well. The businesses in Arusha are run by Maasais. Why? Because they have taken care of them with this 60% revenue that they get to the communities. So, Senator Maruma, instead of proposing in the first clause about adequate funds, I can tell you, it's not a question of adequate funds. Every year, the National Assembly puts money in the Ministry of Tourism for paying compensation. This financial year alone, there's about 600 million. But because of incompetence of somebody who I will not mention again, that money is never paid out. So Senator Wetangula asked a very fundamental question. A child who would have become a lawyer and engineer is trampled upon by an elephant. There's an elephant in Mtitwande we call Mwanzia. It comes out of the park every day at 5 p.m. We call it Mwanzia. It walks around. It tramples upon a child who would have become an engineer and a lawyer. The law says that person should be paid 5 million. If that person had been hit by a car, yours, privately, they'll be paid more because of the multiplier effect. So we should make it possible for Kenyans to go to court for compensation where animals have trampled upon you. Now, if you go to court, if you destroy somebody's crops and you go to court, there's a standard compensation and not standard compensation, there's a standard interest rate from the date you filed suit. Now, in the case of Makueni, somebody's crops were destroyed in 2013 and there were 30 or 40,000 shillings or 70. Now you're paid in 2021 30,000 shillings. Who has lost? You. And that is the reason why, Senator Maruma, we are proposing that that avenue be opened. That is the only way for the ministry to learn that people ought to be compensated. I have files upon files of people who have been killed, people whose crops have been destroyed. In some cases in Makindu and places next to where you are, Senator Maruma, people see rain after 2 years. And immediately you cultivate, the elephants come and have a party in your shamba. And then you're compensated 5 years later. It's of no value. So I'm suggesting that this amendment be done. It makes it be mandatory, and if you don't get compensated, then you should have an avenue of going to get court so that we can enforce these judgments against KWS. That's really the point. Now, the government made, through the National Assembly, proposed what we call a County Wildlife Conservation Committee, chaired by the county commissioner in every county. Now, it's never implemented. Why? Can you believe that in some cases, they don't have sitting allowance? They can't sit because they don't have a sitting allowance. And somebody is dead and they can't sit. In fact, Senator Waruma, why isn't it possible for these county wildlife conservation committees to go and have sittings where these incidences have happened? Why, for example, should a person who has been injured in Mtito and Day on our side go to Wote for a hearing, as opposed to this committee coming there? In your case, when somebody is in Taita Taveta on the other side, where you have those beautiful lodges, has to come all the way to county headquarters for a hearing. We should make it possible for these sittings to be held where these incidences have happened. So I'm proposing that you have an amendment in clause 21 and clause 3, amendment to section 23, section 24. Senator Wetangula had asked this question, and it's important I say this, and I wish Wambua was here. When it gets very hot in Kitui, they put water outside their doors. They do that because of snakes. Because snakes come into your home. In a place like Mtito and Kadhekani, when you go to sleep, you have to check under the bed. Senator Wetangula, you have to check under the bed or on top, because snake could be possibly hiding there. So there's a reason why Senator Maruma has amended, because the National Assembly then removed snake bites from the schedule. Now, between Voi and Nairobi, Kenyatta National Hospital, there is no hospital that stocks an antidote for venom. So chances of you dying along Mombasa Road are very high, because the government does not stock anti-venom. It's done by private hospitals. Yes. I have a child who ended up losing her hand because she was poisoned. By the time she was brought to a hospital in Kilome Nursing Home, it had turned yellow and they had to amputate her. Because the government has no policy for buying antidote. If the government had a policy of buying antidote and antivenom, then it would be not necessary to have snake bites as part of this, because you can be treated from a snake bite. So for now, we must leave it there. Because I said the statistics are out of every 5 people in Makueni and Taita Taveta County, 2 are dying out of snake bites. Poisonous snakes that are hiding, in fact, in some cases, in their homes. There's something we call tourism levy. Other than even this, in addition to all these things, all the lodges in Taita Taveta County, which we visit, and Senator Maruma knows, charge 3% of that fund and transmit it to national government. Some of these funds, in fact, other than an insurance policy, I'm suggesting that you have a fund set aside for money collected by national government from our parks. So in the tourism levy fund, the 3% they collect from Salt Lake, Voi Lodge and others is transmitted to national government. The Finance Committee has suggested in a report tabled by Senator Kibiru that this fund should be collected by county governments. The same way we are saying, if Balala and Co are tired of parks, give it to county government. Let's see how we will manage them, because I think we have the capacity to manage them. Similarly, it is also possible to ensure that people are paid in less than 12 months. Because you cannot get into Masai Mara without paying. So why should you wait for 12 months? If a rogue lion jumps out of the gates and runs and injures somebody, why should you wait for 12 months? Yet there's a tourist who has flown possibly from Australia just to come and see the beautiful lions that are in Masai Mara. You should ask Senator Ledama how much it costs to sleep in a place called Angama that he loves. $1,000 a night. And or Kempinski, or a place, the place owned by this Branson, Mahali Mzuri, 120,000 a night. Imagine how much national government is collecting, and they are unable to compensate Kenyans for human-wildlife conflict. In the case of Taita Taveta and Makueni, we have asked them very simple things. If Shadrach Trust can have a fence in Kibwezi and in some parts of Makindu, why is it that national government has been unable to fence its parks to avoid elephants just running around? Now the people in Laikipia have even built a corridor for their migration. You will see it not geo-wild. The elephants have a corridor where they migrate, go to wherever they want to go, and come back at leisure. They still attack you, but you have created a corridor for them to migrate. Secured fence. They even raised money to do it. I don't know how far Senator Lema is in doing the park, the fence at Masai Mara. Maybe he will tell us. But it's the same thing. If he can go out there and get a fence around Masai Mara, why can't we have national government do the same? So that we prevent the human-wildlife conflict. And we can do so because we are making a lot of money from these parks. I don't know whether Senator Ledama knows. There are two white rhinos in Masai Mara. One is called Kofi Annan. The other one is called Queen Victoria. Now these two white rhinos are protected by 6 rangers. You know those good gentlemen. I went to the Masai Mara in 2015, I found them there. I went there last year, I found these people. Madam Speaker, and if you haven't gone to see these 2 white rhinos, you take a picture next to them. These people walk around with these rhinos day and night. Whether it's raining or not, they are with these 2 rhinos. And people pay a lot of money just to go and look for them in the bush because they don't live in a fenced area. This money ought to benefit the communities that live around the parks. And that is where the solution Tanzania has found to the human-wildlife conflict. Involve the community, plow in some of the money that you're making from the parks so that in fact the persons who guard this wildlife from getting into human settlements are the beneficiaries themselves. That is a secret. But because we get nothing out of the parks, nobody bothers. If you drive to Mombasa, you find that in fact at some point somewhere around Voi, you'll be stopped because sometimes the elephants just come to Mombasa Road to sit on the road. So until they move, you cannot go anywhere. And if you are not careful, some of the elephants, the black ones that come from Amboseli, become very dangerous at night. So Senator Maruma has a cause for the people of Taita Taveta who have been made poor by people who are making money from parks. Sometimes I feel sorry for Taita. It has the biggest mines. People are mining in Taita Taveta and nothing is being plowed into the community. The largest game parks are in Taita Taveta, nothing is going to the community. The biggest sisal plantations are in Taita Taveta, nobody is benefiting. Taita Taveta should not be poor. And we support because we want the people of Taita Taveta to have the benefit, and the people of Makueni, and everywhere where there's a park, we must feel proud that we are hosting animals. There's nowhere in this constitution that says Kenya belongs to Kenyans and wildlife. We are hosting the wildlife, and they are not hosting us, both in Taita and Makueni. And therefore, we should not pay the price for wildlife being amongst us. If a Kenyan is found in the park, just collecting firewood, they are charged 200,000 shillings on the spot. Apart from the assault. I'm defending a young man, a Form 4, who was shot on his knees by KWS officers in Savo last year. An inquiry, which I'm following. But when somebody is injured in the park or injured in their residences outside the park, it takes 10 years to compensate them. What sort of country treats its citizens like that? It's unfortunate. And therefore, I think we must tell Najib Balala, read the Riot Act to this cabinet secretary, that if he can't perform, he had better resign. But this fellow who can't tell the bush from a tree, that's why he would rather say, let's privatize the park, instead of saying, let us compensate Kenyans and let us make our parks a little more better to get more tourists. I got a call from somebody who says, I want to visit the Masai Mara recently. Even in the middle of COVID, there are people who want to come to Kenya. And just like the president of Tanzania said, Suluhu, about our wildebeests, it's an amazing concept that animals can come to Kenya, get pregnant, and go back to Tanzania to deliver. These are sort of things. Serengeti is making a lot of money for Tanzania. It's because they have managed their parks properly, and they have managed anything else that comes as collateral damage out of having animals, these wild animals that we love so much in those parks. I support these amendments. With those corrections and amendments, Senator Maruma, we are going to support, because this is possibly another way of making sure that we have better on-source revenue for our counties that are hosting parks. Savo East and West is the largest national park in the country, largest, and is in Taita Taveta, where Maruma comes from. And the people that host these animals are the poorest. It is a tragedy. I support. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mbogo George Ochila Yako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to support Senator Mwaruma's amendment to the existing law. Madam Speaker, you have noticed that all the speakers are in support of this amendment, and they're in support of improving the relationship between the animals and those affected by their being hosted in their counties. Madam Speaker, I think this is one piece of legislation, the primary one that Senator Mwaruma seeks to amend, that is the one that Karl Marx talked about, that certain pieces of legislation are put in place to exploit others. In fact, this is exploitation of poor Kenyans. Now, if you notice the rich world, or the rich parts of the world, they don't even have wildlife. And they are the ones trying to tell us to keep them. They don't have it. In fact, somebody should find out why they don't have it. And they come to our countries purporting that we will get money from keeping wildlife, and that from that money we live better. If you look at this piece of legislation, it was probably passed by majority of Kenyans. And majority of people tend to live in highly populated areas. They live somewhere in central, in Nyanza, in western Kenya, in Mombasa, and in other places. They don't live in Taita Taveta, in Masai Mara, and these sparsely populated areas. If you look at Taita Taveta County, you will find that the number of members of parliament are so few that they cannot make a dent when it comes to amending legislation. So this is a situation where majority members of the Senate and the National Assembly must take responsibility. We cannot use our majoritarian numbers wherever we come from to oppress few people and poor people. So we must actually look at this issue eyeball to eyeball and do what must be done. You see, when you are in Taita Taveta or you are in Masai Mara or in some other place, and you find an ordinary Masai, an ordinary Taita, an ordinary Taveta, an ordinary Samburu, where we have all these game reserves, when you look at them, their lives never improve. In fact, their lives continue suffering, and then we put in legislation that for us to pretend that we are keeping wildlife, their lives do not matter. That these elephants, these wild animals must continue killing them. I also read the Bible and the Quran. I've never seen anywhere where it's decreed that you cannot kill an animal which is trying to kill you. If you kill this, you are jailed. If you are seeking compensation for having a relative or property destroyed or killed by it, you don't get it. If you are asking to be a partner in the profit industry that makes you keep it, you are not part of it. So where are you supposed to go? Recently, I was watching a movie by the Maasais saying that if a lion kills their cow, they will kill it. I think if there is no compensation for this, the Maasais are right. They will kill these animals and you'll do nothing. In fact, you'll not even get a witness. When the state becomes oppressive, when society becomes oppressive, people go underground. They'll not tell you who killed the lion. They'll not tell you who killed the rhino. They will think that those things do not belong to them. So if we want to be responsible, let us first be responsible for the lives of our people, particularly the vulnerable ones who are poor and who are few. And we must do that by looking at the value of life. Let us not think that the value of life of a poor person has no value, that it has absolutely no value. In fact, if we look at where we started, all of us, who had anything? We were given opportunity by those who were protective of us. And we must provide the same opportunity to all Kenyans by adequately compensating Kenyans who are disadvantaged by our desire for profit and pretending that we are conserving the environment. Conserve Kenyans first. In fact, there is no environment to conserve if you cannot conserve Kenyans. When it comes to counties like Taita, Taveta, Makueni, even my own county, Migori, we have certain animals that kill people. If you are found with the skin or a hide of a python, and it's not listed here, it's not even poisonous, but I can assure you it's extremely dangerous to everybody, adults and children alike, to disabled people, to women. It's not listed here. So there is a concept in law that if you are keeping anything fierce, anything that is capable of visiting destruction of people, then you keep it at your cost and your expense. And this nation must take responsibility for keeping fierce things that damage life, damage crops. So I think this bill is a good step towards bringing that. I just want to encourage Senator Maruma to be bold. Be bold. In fact, Madam Speaker, I want to say that there is even an attempt to claim that this is a money bill. Some people may claim that. I don't think we should give a damn about that. Money or death, this is something that is going to correct something that is about death and about life and about coexistence. We cannot dance around the corpses and poverty of people. When we count our population, we include them. When we share our resources, we exclude them. Those people can very well be us, those who may not be suffering such atrocities like our citizens from those parts of Kenya. I want, Madam Speaker, to say that it is a shame to still have in legislation the fact that an animal has a right to kill you and that you have no right to be compensated. Compensation is compensation if it is prompt and adequate. Otherwise, those other things that are not prompt and adequate are not compensation. So we cannot purport to put some numbers that make no sense to somebody whose potential in life could be anything, from Isaac Newton to any other person. What makes other people think that Isaac Newton, before he traveled to that part of the world, was not from Taita Taveta? He may have been well from that place, and a future one may come from there, or a future one may be Maasai. So this kind of pieces of legislation require a global approach. We must not have statutes that are designed to keep wildlife in a manner that does not protect and defend the lives of our people. The only thing you have that you don't buy and nobody can sell to you is your life. So nobody should come anywhere, including here, and tell us that we must keep wildlife if it is killing everybody, and that if you are killed, you cannot get compensation. Assuming some python visited the president when he goes to Migingo, what will you do to that python? So is the life of the president more important than the life of my brother, Senator Kibiru? So absolutely not, because Senator Kibiru will be president soon in our lifetime. So if he is killed now, when will he be president? So, Madam Speaker, I conclude by supporting this amendment, its spirit, particularly to the extent that it is proposing that we add the amount of compensation given to people, that we expedite the timelines within which it is made available, and that we increase the net when it comes to the wildlife that are capable of causing harm to people. We must ensure that that happens, and that for this nation to continue keeping wildlife, the keeping of wildlife must be made beneficial to people who are most affected by their presence. That is a very good spirit. I conclude by saying that if that is not done, I will pray and others will pray that God deals with the animals. You might just find that they have died, so what will you do? It is important for us to do something that will save them other than waiting for extraterrestrial intervention. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support my colleague.
Thank you, Senator Ochilo Ayako. Senator Nderitu John Kinyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From onset, I want to say I support this bill by my colleague, Senator Maruma. And Madam Speaker, the issue of wildlife human conflict has been there in Laikipia for a long duration of time. I can remember from the time I was in primary school, Honorable Gigi Kariuki, then the Member of Parliament, was talking about this issue of animals attacking human beings as well as destroying crops. And Madam Speaker, if you would allow me to give some of the statistics from Laikipia so that you can see the weight of this matter. I heard Senator Mtula Kilonzo saying we have corridors in Laikipia. And the way he insinuated is like in Laikipia you don't have these issues by issue of him talking about corridors. It is true we have corridors, but we still have problems in Laikipia. Madam Speaker, I want to put very clearly, we are the bona fide owners of land of Laikipia. We are people with title deeds. It's not elephants, hyenas, or monkeys, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, who keep on disturbing us. Madam Speaker, in Laikipia, we lose 1 to 2 persons every month from the attack of elephants and hyena. And we experience crop destruction to a tune of millions of shillings. Madam Speaker, if you allow me, Madam Speaker, I can say verbatimly about some of the issues that we go through. Madam Speaker, in 2017, a marauding elephant attacked and injured Jerica Nasusui in Karuaho village in Rumuruti Ward. The same was reported to KWS, but there has been no feedback since 2017, Madam Speaker. On 5th February 2019, a 12-year-old pupil of Muradi Primary School was marauded by a hyena to bones at his home area in Ormoran, Laikipia County, as he was dressing for school, leaving her 71-year-old father and 56-year-old mother heavily wounded as they were trying to fight off the animal and save their son. Madam Speaker, on that September 2019, Reshadu Kinyanyi, a 16-year-old, was trampled to death by an elephant at his Karuru Kirori village in Laikipia sub-county while on his way to school. The class 7 teacher was in a group of about 10 classmates who was heading to school when a log jumbo charged at them, killing him on the spot while others escaped with injuries. Madam Speaker, on 26 December 2019, a 36-year-old woman, Stella Chebi, was trampled to death by an elephant in Oljabet in Laikipia, Madam Speaker, and she was heading her animals. In June 2020, a hyena invaded and killed 6 goats at Kamau's home in Ndururu village in Githega ward. Madam Speaker, I'm just giving these statistics so that it can be known what Mwaruma has brought to this house. We are talking about people. It is not only statistics where we say about how many people have been killed. I'm mentioning names so that it can be on record. And we have reported this. So when Senator Mtula Kilonzo, Senator Wetangula speak about the negligence from the minister, it is on record, it is known, and he's supposed to pull his socks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on 16th February 2021, 63-year-old woman, Mary Rebesa Lendonyo, was trampled to death by elephant while collecting firewood in Umruti at about 10 a.m., while in company of other villagers who managed to escape. Madam Speaker, in a span of 1 month in February 2021, one marauding elephant trampled upon Hassan, a primary school student at Ndindeka Primary School in Githega, and killed a neighbor identified as Gathogo. And there was no effort by the KWS service to restrain the animal. Madam Speaker, on 2nd March 2021, the eve of Wildlife Conservation Day, a herd of elephant invaded Esther Wanjiko's farm in Rumuruti, destroying several acres of maize in one night, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the same day, 4 elephants invaded Reveshwa and Kaga, destroying fruits, orchards, and other farms. Madam Speaker, on 8th March 2021, a hyena killed 3 goats belonging to Mr. Kimamuroi and in neighboring village or Moran ward. Madam Speaker, around Olborosat and Manguo, hippos continue killing and maiming human beings and causing havoc in farms with little recourse from KWS. Madam Speaker, despite farmers reporting to KWS almost on weekly basis, the response time from KWS remains a challenge since most attacks occur at night and most farmers lack direct access to KWS. Madam Speaker, it is not only Laikipia, the situation above revamps across the country. Since 2014 to 2017, 13,000 compensation claims have been lodged, Madam Speaker, and 452 arising from human deaths, 455 from human injuries, 5,073 from crop damages, 3,012 from livestock predation, and 33 for property destruction. Madam Speaker, none of those have been compensated. And I'm talking about they have been reported to the Ministerial Wildlife Conservation and Compensation Committee. And nothing has been done, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is Senator Wetangula and Senator Mutula Kilonzo, I'm saying that because they are the lawyers, they will tell you, Madam Speaker, tort law and common law on negligence, trespass and strict liabilities requires that a person who keeps an animal that causes injury to the neighbors must be held liable. You have said it. So, Madam Speaker, the people who own these animals in Laikipia are ranchers in Laikipia, Madam Speaker. And they allow these animals, they release these animals to our farms, especially when there is drought, Madam Speaker. When there is fire, they release this animal to our farms. Madam Speaker, we get trouble with these animals, but you don't get compensation. So what I want to encourage my colleague, Senator Mwaruma, this bill is timely, and all what we need to do is to tighten the issue of compensation. Gigi Kariuki had talked about it here in this Senate. He talked in the National Assembly until his days came to an end, and may the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. But the people he was talking on their behalf have not been compensated. Madam Speaker, this is the issue that we must talk, and we must not only talk about it, but we must take action so that people can be compensated. In Laikipia, we are suffering from all angles. If it's not animal, Madam Speaker, at night we are being attacked by bandits. Madam Speaker, if it's not bandit, Madam Speaker, I don't know where the rockers is supposed to be classified under this bill, Madam Speaker, because even rockers, I think is... Madam Speaker, I saw, from the last page, Madam Speaker, of this of the bill in the schedule, I saw some of the animals that are I saw some animals, Madam Speaker. I saw when wildlife species in respect to which compensation may be paid, whether there's death or injury. They said of elephant, lion, leopard, rhino, hyena, crocodile, cheetah, buffalo, poisonous snakes, hippo, shark, stonefish. Madam Speaker, we get destruction even from monkeys. There's whales, stingray, wild dogs, wild pigs. Madam Speaker, and when we talk about the wild beast. So, Madam Speaker, from where I sit, this is a timely bill, and what we should do is to tighten and to shorten the time of compensating, and even the amount that people are supposed to compensate it. Madam Speaker, if you attack an animal in any part of this country, you'll see like about 3 choppers landing of KWS that the animal has been attacked. Madam Speaker, but if a Kenyan is killed, not even one, even like 5, nobody bothers, Madam Speaker. And when you talk about voting, it is these Kenyans who vote. It is not these lions, it's not these hyenas that vote. But Madam Speaker, I think after voting, our powers are over, and we are left at the hand of these animals to kill us, to destroy our crops, and the best we can get is just a story. There'll be compensation. Somebody comes to a shamba, he looks, and we are told the first person to come has to come from Ministry of Agriculture. When the Ministry of Agriculture comes, he tells us he does not have capacity. Then from there, we need to talk to somebody in KWS. Madam Speaker, there must be coordination, proper coordination, so that we can know if we talk to the person in agriculture, the person in the KWS, how long am I going to wait so that I get compensation, Madam Speaker? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Nderitu. Senator